to this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, that podcast that opens up the opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to you in your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see so often on social media. Welcome. If this is our first time of meeting, my name is Matilda and I am a professional medium and psychic advisor and spiritual advisor here in Australia. I love to help people on their next step of spiritual growth and self-discovery that often go hand in hand. And it really does bring me so much joy. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how self-concept and self-love should go hand in hand when you are using things like the law of attraction. I will be giving some predictions at the end of the episode and just talking about some things that I have coming up and some feedback that I've had from some wonderful clients. So before I get started, I want to talk about something that is happening over on social media quite a lot. As a psychic medium, I am always very aware of how people can compare and contrast with others. Now, everyone works incredibly differently. When I was initially tagged in Laurie Rivers from the Awake Spaces TikToks, and she was tagged in a lot of mine, it was because we were making very similar predictions and using, as she put it, using the same language. Now, there's a reason for that. We are of the same age group and we both have very, very similar education and experience. So we sort of know how to communicate things in a certain way so that people understand it. We get our information very, very differently. Laurie is an astrologer. I am a medium. But when we work together, which we have done on a number of occasions, plus we have our Sassy Seers podcast that comes out weekly. When we work together, we have an incredible way of diving incredibly deep, getting great information, and being able to make predictions with a lot more, specifications. And that, we did an event in May. We're going to do another event in August. So keep an eye out for that. But there is no need for people to tag us to compare what we are saying about our current predictions. We don't talk about it. We really, really don't. And I know that Laurie has recently done her 2025 event, which gives 2025 predictions. And Laurie will tell you that I was really strong in saying, Laurie, please don't tell me anything. I want to get all the information from my guides. I want to lean into that energy. I want to get the specifications that I get. And then if we decide to put them together, we can look at things further in the future. I'm probably going to do a lot of that over the next couple of days. I won't be bringing things to social media until October, November. There's too much going on between now and then where my energy is really needed. And I'll explain a little bit about that in a minute. But the point of this is so many people are trying to tag us both in each other's posts and compare us. We are not here to do that. We are here to straighten, as Laurie said, straighten each other's crowns. I will always promote really good psychic mediums that I come across. I've had several on my podcast. I have an area of my Patreon that is specifically for people that work in the metaphysical space to help promote them, help build their businesses, help them grow. Can we just continue to help each other grow? Whatever sphere we work in or wherever we get our information from. I have been really saddened lately, and I did make a video on this about the negativity on various people's pages. I rarely get negative comments, but the other thing is that anyone that comes onto my page And I'm not talking about skeptics. I'm quite happy to deal with skeptics. That doesn't bother me. You should be skeptical about what I do. Absolutely. I'm talking about the negativity and the nastiness. People get blocked pretty much immediately if they're nasty on my page. It's a rule that I'm going to stick by purely because I'm wanting to create a positive, safe space for people. And I've seen some horrors on social media. I've seen people be bullied horrifically. And I'm talking about real bullying. I'm not talking about people that say they're being bullied when they're being critiqued or they're working unethically. I'm talking about that real trolling and bullying that goes on. You know, we should be so proud of some of the females that are on social media sharing their lives. And people watch it. It's you guys want it for your entertainment, yet the nastiness and the nasty comments that they have to tolerate is beyond me. I watch one girl, and she's a Scottish girl. Her name is Stephanie. I won't give her surname. She is a single mother of 2, and her youngest child has, I believe it's cerebral palsy. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but also autism. He's definitely nonverbal, and she does everything for that kid. But the fact that she gets to go to events and promotion work, the fact that she is now a beauty influencer with products of her own, she is stunningly beautiful. And her energy is amazing. And yet the jealousy and the trolling that go on and the abuse she gets, she's told she's a bad parent because she dares to go out and enjoy herself, just absolutely amazes me. So I just challenge everyone to find a page and leave positive comments. It's not just about not leaving a comment at all if you've got nothing nice to say. It's about changing the energy that goes on. I cannot believe that there are people out there in 2024, and most of them are women. A lot of them are women. And the energy out there is of jealousy and contempt and nastiness. And I'm wanting to change that. But I'm not saying that people are nasty between Laurie and I, but we don't need to be tagged in each other's videos because, you know, we talk. We don't talk about our predictions. We don't talk about what we see coming in. And we make incredibly separate ways of predicting stuff. And the wording may be different, or the areas may be different, or the information that I get could be a wider scope. Remember, I'm not in America. And the people wanting to critique or compare us are just barking up the wrong tree. Remember, ladies, we are straightening each other's crowns and giving each other a boost these days. We are not in competition with anyone. And as I say, I have a lot of psychic mediums on my podcast because I'm really interested in that journey. Let's keep that momentum going on social media. So before I get into things, I am going to give my newest paid Patreon supporters a shout out. I am so grateful for everyone that comes onto my Patreon and supports me. If you are a Patreon member, go and have a look at the newest video that I have brought up. I have put up a guide to being able to use your phone to navigate Patreon. So how to find the content, how to find the collections. Most of my stuff is already in collections. You should easily be able to find everything. And there is constantly new information going up there. I think this week I'm going to be releasing the Q&A podcast for the $15 and up members, and that's where you get to ask your questions. We have our coffee morning coming up very soon, so keep an eye out for that and the Zoom link for that. And yeah, just keep an eye out for the new content. It is pretty consistent these days. Yay! So, my newest Patreon supporters. Alexander Gunno, Lorena Egwes, Lindsay Butler, Lily Ramos, Bob Cringe, Kerin Dakar, Deborah Zapert, Paloma Ishmael, Anna C., Nellie, Diane, Jessica Key, Laura Kelson, and Chell. And I just wanted to thank Diane for your yearly subscription, Nellie for your yearly subscription, and I think that's it. So thank you so much. Your support is much appreciated. You make things like this podcast possible. You make it possible for me to load a lot more content. This week, I'm hoping to get, as I said, the Q&A. I'm working on some meditations as well. Talking of which, on the weekend, I ran my first ever Law of Attraction seminar. It was my first dive into teaching anyone. I've always said that I am not a teacher, but I do like to educate. So I've decided to run this manifestation law of attraction course. And it was a 45-minute course. I was so nervous. It is so strange how you can know your information. You can live it, you can breathe it, you can understand it. But when you actually have to give that information to another person, as in teaching, sticking to a schedule, doing all of that, oh my goodness, I found it so stressful. I want to thank everyone that bared with me. There was a couple of technical glitches where some people got the wrong confirmation. It was a system issue. I do apologize, but everybody by now should have a copy of a link to the actual course that I did. So they get that and they can look at it at their leisure. The workbook that I released on the law of attraction, a load of manifesting or affirmation tips, and a whole list of different affirmations depending on what you're wanting to bring in, and some meditations. But at the end of the event, I ran a 5-minute meditation, which was great, apart from my son decided to pull up at the front of my office and leave the truck running. I honestly could have killed him. I sent him a text saying, "Turn your fucking truck off." The poor kid, he was delivering something to me. I love him to pieces. And he did apologize. He said, "I forgot I should have parked at the end. I've got a very long driveway." He said, "I should have parked at the end of the driveway and walked up." But he pulled up right outside my office where I do all my recording. And yeah, great. But the good thing is that we are moving my office and recording, and I'm going to have a nice chair for doing my lives and videos that I do for Patreon and my teaching to a room at the back of my house, and that's going to make a big difference. I won't be so worried about the dog barking or people delivering stuff, because my office faces my driveway, and I have a neighbor beside me, and God bless her, she doesn't know, but sometimes I'll just sit down to record, and her little girl will come outside to play, and she's entitled to play. She's entitled to ride her bike up and down the driveway, and I'm the one that has to adapt to that, because this is, her space as well as mine. But it's timing. So I've just decided to move everything around, and my son will be helping me with that, whether he knows it or not. So yes, I did a meditation at the end, and it was beautiful. And I had a lot of messages from people saying, "Your voice sends us to sleep. It's so lovely." I think that's a compliment. Pretty sure that's a compliment. We'd love some more meditation. So I am going to put the work in to do that for you guys and load them onto the Patreon, and they should help. But the course was lovely. And the reason I'm going to talk about it today is I will be doing more of them. But I've realized that a lot of people have not realized the link between getting your manifestations and believing in yourself. There is a strong link with how we have our self-concept and view ourselves, that self-love that so many of us don't know about and we weren't taught about when we were growing up. Social conditioning can really fuck with us when it comes to self-confidence and self-love. Self-love is not about us being narcissistic or self-absorbed. That's incredibly different. Self-love is about knowing what we deserve, believing that we deserve it, and setting our boundaries with not only other people, but ourselves. The law of attraction works on the basis of what you think of the most is what the universe will bring you. So if you're manifesting something, say you want a new car, but in the back of your mind, you're saying, I'm not worthy, that can't happen, I don't have enough money, it'll never happen for me, then that negative thought pattern is what the universe hears, rather than the, I'm getting a new car, I can smell the new car, I can feel myself driving the new car, I'm really excited about having the new car. When we doubt ourselves and our ability, it'll show in our ability to manifest. We have to set our pattern to the positive. And the best way to start with that, and the best way to start with that, and the best way to start with that is to start on our own self-concept and self-love. That does include being kinder to ourselves. There's this feeling that sometimes with social conditioning and how we are brought up, whether that's our parents, our teachers, our school friends, when we first start socializing with people when we are young, if we are having negative experiences, that stays in our subconscious and we have to work on. If we continue to tell ourselves the old story, the story of we are not lovable, we only receive one thing and nobody likes us, everybody hates us. If we keep telling ourselves that, that's what the universe is going to bring in. I saw a comment on one of my social media posts this week. I had stitched a video and I didn't realize that the lady that I stitched the video from was actually a radio personality in the US. And she was saying that she was really struggling with setting boundaries and the fact that people were harsh with her and she felt really bad about it. And I basically stitched the video and said, it's if you start telling yourself how fabulous you are and you build that self-confidence, then you are going to know that you can achieve what it is that you want. But somebody put a comment underneath it and said, I only give. All I want is love. I give love, but I never receive it. But if you say to yourself, I never receive love, that's what you're going to get. The law of attraction brings you what you think about the most. And many of us don't realize that until sometimes it's too late. Sometimes we have gone through 30, 40, 50 years of bad days and bad relationships and believing that we are only going to get what we deserve. Have you ever noticed that people sometimes leave one abusive relationship and go into another because in their mind, and they say that they are only deserving of one kind of love? It's their path. That's not the case. We can change our path so easily by changing our thought pattern to be positive. I've manifested many things in my life. And once I actually released the old story of me, and the old story was told to me by my family, I was a problem. I was difficult. I was loud. And I suddenly realized, you know what? You guys don't even like me. Why am I holding on to a family, because they're family, when they don't even like me? And they haven't grown. They're very misogynistic. They've lived in the same mindset for many, many years, and they're not going to get out of it. They're not going to change. So I just shut them down. I said that enough is enough. I deserve to feel good about myself. I looked at the people that I have in my life now and how I build them up and they build me up. And I removed myself from that old story. And the growth that I experienced in a short period of time and the courage that I had and created for myself was phenomenal. And I did that by making a hard decision and starting to tell myself a different story. Because for so many years I had believed the story that other people had created of who I was. We can all do it. It takes courage to believe in something that we can't see until we start seeing it, but we can all do it. Remember that once we start telling ourselves a new story about ourselves, we build our self-confidence, we do our affirmations, we do our gratitude every day, we build that momentum, and the universe will start seeing this. They will start hearing what you say to yourself every day, that the thought pattern about what it is you're wanting to manifest in a positive light, and they will start putting the opportunities in front of you to take affirmed action. You must take action. Your affirmations aren't just going to drop out of the sky, but you must take action. It's like affirming a partner. I do speak to a lot of people who want, when am I going to get married? Am I going to get married? Am I going to meet someone? But they don't leave their own home. They tell themselves constantly that there is nobody good online, and they don't leave their own home. But yet, when they start being positive about meeting someone, when they start being positive about the opportunities that could be placed in front of them online, and they start taking affirmed action, so many people meet somebody. And it's testament to how powerful our minds are. Just remember as well that when we are trying to manifest something, if we get caught up in the outcome and the timing of that manifestation, then we are again putting negative energy into it. So if you say, I want to meet a partner by August, and then you're in July, it's not happened. The law of attraction doesn't work because it's not happened. Negative energy. Instead of continually thinking about the partner that you're going to meet, instead of thinking about how you're going to meet a partner, instead of thinking about the positives that come with meeting a partner, you are putting the negative energy out there and it is repelling it. The law of attraction is like attracts like. Positivity attracts positivity. Everyone's had one of those days where they turn around and they say, could this day get any worse? And the universe says, yep, here's the car breaking down, or here's you being stranded because your train is late. The universe loves a challenge. And when you put that sort of energy out there, they're going to match it. So it's not only them matching the positive energy, they're going to bring in the negative too. What we think is what we get, and we have to change that concept in order to receive. And by working on our self-esteem, self-concept, self-love, we will see the positive outcome. And we will also introduce people into our lives that are so much more suitable for who we are. We've all had people in our lives that will bring us down because we let them. We all have people that are negative because we let them. And the new saying has got to be, let them be exactly who they want and stop looking at them for the answers. There's also this feeling that, you need somebody else in your life to validate you, to make you feel secure. If you start validating yourself and giving yourself that love, that emotional security that you seek elsewhere, then you're going to be less vulnerable to being in abusive or toxic situations. So remember that many people will seek that outside of themselves when they weren't taught when they were younger to self-soothe, self-validate, to look, realize that emotional safety is a thing. And when we are younger and we are feeling as if we are not emotionally safe, for whatever reason that may be, if we turn that inwards and we make ourselves emotionally safe by telling ourselves the things that we crave to hear from other people, it's really going to set you up in a win-win situation where you're building your self-esteem and self-confidence. You're not looking at your value being attached to how someone else perceives you. And the internal growth and emotional growth is amazing. It does take time. It is difficult and it does take practice. But by God, it's amazing when it happens. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to stop worrying about what other people think of you. It's absolutely none of your business. And if we continue to see ourselves through the perception of others, and performing and behaving in a way that pleases other people, then we never really find our true center. So really looking at that, is everything I do to get the validation and love of other people? And am I just doing that to put off the fact that I need to look within? It can be a bit difficult. It can bring some dark days. But it can also bring amazing growth, both spiritually and personally. Remember, you can have exactly what you want. And if you continue to tell yourself the old story, you're going to get what you've told yourself for many years. It is the idea of absolute madness to continue to do what you've done and expect different results. So change it up. Start thinking positively. Start looking at yourself through your own eyes and giving yourself the love and adoration that you may look from other people, and it will lift your energy. And then manifesting what you want is going to come in so much easier. It's amazing. And you can do it because you are amazing. The truth is that I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now and trying to help and bring light and work as a medium and do all of those things if I'd have stayed in my old patterns. Now, I have been working at this for 20 years, but since I made a real decision to start working on my own sense of self and self-concept and belief in myself, my audience has grown. And that's not the only thing that's important, but having an audience isn't about ego and fame. It's about helping as many people as I possibly can with various things, whether it's with the predictions that I give, whether it's with the spiritual growth help that I give, whether it's with the mediumship that I bring to people on a day-to-day basis. I have realized that I could not have done this without that work on myself and without making some hard decisions. And I don't harp on it a lot because it's a personal thing. But I did not grow up in a very supportive family. And when I stood back and realized that my dad and my brothers actually didn't like me, and all they ever did was criticize me and have a go at me about things, then I sort of stood back and I just went, why am I continuing to be in this abusive situation where all I am doing is being criticized and pulled apart, where I have never, ever, ever, even on my wedding day, ever heard my father say anything nice about me? I have a fucking PhD in economics. And I've never even had such a thing as a congratulations, a well done, or whatever. And I was looking for that constantly. I was looking for that validation. And when I sat back and went, you know what, I'm actually never going to get it because they don't have that ability to change. And I am living in an abusive situation where I'm putting myself forward to be torn down time and time and time again. Once I removed myself from that situation, once I actually realized what I was worth, because, I was told I was ugly my whole life. Once I realized what I was worth, and put that effort into myself, I was then able to work as a medium with pure joy, with pure wanting to help other people. I was able to put myself on social media. I was able to start this podcast because I didn't fear someone else tearing me down, because anyone else's opinion of me and my work or who I am as a person is none of their business. I know that I'm a good person. I don't have to say it or prove it constantly. So I have been through this. I didn't grow up in a household that was full of light and butterflies and joyous occasions. I'm not saying I was physically abused or anything like that, but there was a certain amount of emotional abuse. And it took me a long time to get over it. But here I am now, doing this, loving what I do, trying to help as many people, not only from a spiritual and a mediumship point of view, but because I have walked the walk myself. So that's a little bit about my story. I am going to give you a couple of feedback reviews that I have received. It's really nice of people to give me reviews. It's not something that I push. I send out an email after an appointment. If you get an email, you've got a choice of sending me an email back with a review or going onto Google Reviews and leaving me a review. It's only a process that I've started in the last year or so. So if you want to leave me a review, you can. I would love it if you could leave a review on the podcast, whether that's a starry thing or just a rating, because that helps this podcast get out to more and more people. And we are, I think we were number 20 in the United Kingdom this week. That's amazing. That's you guys doing it. That's what brings me the joy, is that you guys listen to me, and that I just think is amazing. I started this podcast thinking, oh, you know what, half a dozen of people might listen to me. And it's a lot more than that, which is always great. So the reviews that I have received recently, which are always so nice. Lalissa has said, Matilda is the best medium I have ever worked with. She gave names of past and living people in my life that aren't easy names to fake. I'm so impressed. I know that she absolutely was in contact with my past loved ones. Thank you, Matilda. You gave me so much peace, which is what mediumship is all about. It's giving you that peace that your loved ones are okay, that they are healed, and that they are at peace. And that is so important to know. Lois said, my session with Matilda was both enlightening and uncanny. The first words out of her mouth were spot on in describing my current situation. She immediately was able to bring through the person I wanted to hear from the most, including details of her passing. Matilda would constantly say things that hit the nail on the head regarding my life and relationships, and I was able to find reassurance and peace with some loved ones who had passed. She also gave me insight into the future. I left the session feeling both amazed and grateful. I would highly recommend Matilda for a reading. That's so lovely, Lois. Thank you so much. And one more, Tiffany. I'm still in awe of my experience with Matilda. I find it difficult to put into words how validating, nurturing, and authentic it was. She gave me some very hard evidence that let me know who was with us and provided messages I needed to hear. I may not have liked them all, but I needed to hear them. I am so utterly grateful. I will definitely be booking again. Thank you, Tiffany. That is so kind of you. So I said I'd talk about what I have coming up. And as many of you know, I release my readings once a month, usually on around the 1st of the month. This month, it's going to be a bit different. It'll be the middle of July. I have to see my surgeon in the middle of July, and I will then know what date I'm going in for surgery on my back and when I can release my next appointments. They are likely to be October dates at this stage. This is because I will need to take about 4 weeks off. I'm not going to do the whole woe is me thing, but I will be able to still keep people up to date. And you know what? If I suddenly find that I am okay and well, then and able to do readings, then I will come back a bit sooner. But I am allowing myself a whole month off to make sure that I recover well. I don't know how Buffy is going to take this. It's going to be quite tricky. I think I'm going to have to get a dog walker in at least for the first 2 or 3 weeks, because he's very heavy. He's 40 kilos or close to 40 kilos now that he's well. And I'm worried that he's going to pull me. So I'm going to have to get a dog walker in, I think. I have somebody that walks him a couple of days a week whilst I'm doing my readings. But I think I'm going to have to get someone to come in a lot more whilst I'm recovering. And I also need to thank a lot of people that have sent me offers of healing. I will get back to you this week. It has just been manic with a lot of things going on, and trying to fit everything in has not been my strong point. It's been tricky. I have now, I think, got the help that I need admin wise, and that's going to get a lot easier for me and release a bit of time. But at the moment, I just feel like I'm chasing my tail. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there feel exactly the same. And this is really interesting because I'm just going to touch on this for a second. There's a preconceived idea that I just do my readings and that's it. But I have the business side of what I do that is also really important. I have a Patreon that I run, so I'm trying to go in there and create content for that. I try and get on live at least once a week, so I'm going to do that today. So if I see you there, hi. There's, bookkeeping, there's accountants, there's lawyers. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up next year that I can't talk about yet. And that's involved a lot of contracts and discussions and things like that. Plus the podcast that I do this podcast, I do the Sassy Seers podcast. I try and work with people to get so I've got a researcher now. Before anyone panics, I'm not researching you guys. This lady is amazing. She's called Mandy. She is researching my past predictions and making sure that we have the proof of what happened, so that then Kim can put the videos together to go out on social media, just so that we have that continuity. My words aren't wording today. Words are hard. And Kim just then puts videos together that proves the predictions that I've made, so that people don't think I'm talking at my ass. And as Mandy was going through, she said, your hit rate is just absolutely phenomenal. And you know what? It is, but I don't keep a track of it. I like someone else to do that, just purely because I don't have time to go through all my old videos or the transcripts and find the stuff that fits. Or show that predictions have happened. And I certainly don't have time to be working on CapCut and trying to put videos together. So that's another part of what I do on a day-to-day basis. I try and take at least one full day off where I'm not on social media, I'm not doing readings, I'm not recording. And that actually hasn't happened for a really long time. Yesterday was supposed to be one of those days, and I did nothing. I really did nothing. However, I did have to fit in not an emergency reading, but a reading that had gotten cancelled when I was sick, and we had just miscommunicated about rebooking. So I did that at the end of the day. But the reality is I am running a business as well as working as a medium and trying to run more courses, etc. So it is very busy. And that is not me in any way gloating. That is me just trying to inform everyone of how busy life is and how it's not just about sitting on live and doing readings and connecting into the spiritual realm. There is a real business side to what I do because I want to make this sustainable and something that takes me into the future. And that means I can continue to help people. On that note, last weekend, I ran my first course, as I said, first teaching experience. Thank you all for bearing with me when we had that teaching experience. And it was definitely a learning experience for me. But I would like to start running some more courses. I'm going to float another Law of Attraction course, and that will probably be in August. I also am going to put together a self-love, self-concept course, which I feel is incredibly important for people. It is the basis of everything I do. And if I can run that course that then reaches more people rather than people having to book readings or psychic readings or spiritual advice, that's going to really help people. So that one is likely to be in July. In August, I have a large mediumship event where you get to watch me work and you have the opportunity for a reading. Sadly, in that one, it's not everyone because it is a large group, but I am full for the 10-person reading. I may float another one in July. If people are interested, let me know. And on the 3rd of August, I will be doing an event with Laurie Rivers. It is going to cover predictions and events until the end of the year. Remember, we were incredibly accurate with the one that we did in May. A lot of things that have happened, or a lot of things we said were going to happen have happened. So that's all the stuff that's happening at the moment in the Where's Matilda. And don't forget, if you're a member of Patreon, the coffee morning is going to be released sometime I think it's this weekend. So I'll be putting the Zoom link up for that. And that'll be fun. I think that's great. The coffee morning's always a great opportunity to ask your spiritual questions. We just chew the fat. It's not an opportunity to have personal readings, but it is an opportunity to ask your spiritual questions, ask me what's going on in the world, that sort of thing. And that's about it for where I am. And yes, I am busy, but it's fun. I am incredibly grateful for the opportunities that are being put in front of me at the moment, and I'm grabbing them with both hands. I said that I would end today with a couple of predictions that I see coming in. The first one I'm going to give you is around Trump. I am not convinced that he is going to attend the debate that is due. I think it's due on Thursday, which is Friday my time. But if he does, I see him storming out like he can't get his words out. He can't say what he wants to say. And I just feel this verbal diarrhea, and he's going to get a warning from his people or something. And it's just like they decide to go home, or he walks off, or he throws a temper tantrum. There is that. I am being seen. I have been shown the difficulties in the Eastern Seaboard. It looks quite nasty, but there is a lot more coming in that area. I'm really sorry if you are suffering from that at the moment. It looks pretty horrific. I actually haven't seen a lot. I've just been tagged in a lot of videos of what's incoming. But I think that this year is going to be very difficult. If you live on the Eastern Seaboard, get yourself prepared. And I can't give you specific areas because it feels like most areas are going to be affected at one time or another. Princess Kate, Princess Catherine of Wales, is likely to attend another event in July. That will be good. And I am being shown news on Alito from the Supreme Court. There will be a press announcement or an announcement of some type regarding his health. And that's about it from me at the moment. It has been a pleasure to have you with me again today. Thank you, everyone that supports me, and thank you, everyone that came along to the Law of Attraction course last weekend. It was a pleasure to have you there, and I hope you're enjoying the link, the video that was sent out to you, and having a good laugh at my teaching abilities. We got the words out eventually. Take care, everyone. Lots of love, and I'll speak to you again next week. Don't forget to tune into the Sassy Sears on the weekend. Take care.
Bye.